Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're back in Swiss. Oath of the Gatewatch, Battle for Zendikar drafts. I know what Endbringer does. What does Vile Redeemer do? 3 mana, 3/3, flash. When you cast it, you can pay a colorless, and if you get a colorless Scion, you get a colorless Scion for each non-token creature that died under your control. Okay. That seems pretty good. I probably still want Endbringer, though, unless Vile Redeemer is worth something. I don't think it is. We'll find out. No, not worth anything. I think it's pretty good. It also has flash. So it's a flash blocker. It's certainly significantly cheaper than Endbringer. They both commit you to a color. I guess Vile Redeemer commits you to 2 colors, though. Colorless and green. I still think Endbringer's probably better. That's tough, though. Vile Redeemer seems good. Endbringer still seems better. There's removal and stuff in there, but I took too long to decide. We got Past a Matter Reshaper. Pretty sure that's worth tickets. Like, quite a few. And this is a Swiss draft, so that's surprising. Yeah, it's worth 3 tickets. I mean, we're going to take it. It's also a good card. What else is in here? Crumbling Vestige Cultivator Drone would be nice to wheel, since even Kozilek's Translator, we already definitely have a use for colorless at this point. We're going to need colorless mana in this deck. But yeah, we're going to take the 3 ticket card here. Okay, well, there's a Wastes in here, which we could use, but I think you tend to find Wastes a little bit later. I guess that being said, there's not really anything too spicy in here. Relief Captain's pretty awesome. 4 mana, support 3 is certainly good. There's also Tar Snare, which is removal. Relief Captain is pretty committing to white. Double white. It's probably the strongest card in here. There's Stalking Drone in green, which is more colorless matters. I'm not going to take a waste this early, like I said. Kozilek Shrieker is also a colorless matters card. Does seem like Relief Captain's the strongest card remaining in here, since support 3 is nothing to scoff at. Otherwise, I could take Fixing and Needle Spires. Not a horribly exciting card. Manlands are cool. We're going to take the Relief Captain. Not committing to white, but taking a powerful ally as well as a support card. It's just good. Okay, another Waste. A Saddleback Lagak. Flare Drone. And another shot at Waste. Scion Summoner is very good with Relief Captain, but the Summoner versus Saddleback is always a question for me, since Saddleback support, I like Saddleback a lot. You tend to get your 4-drop slots pretty congested, whereas Summoner is a very powerful 3-drop, since it gives you 2 bodies as well as ramp on turn 3. 3 drops, usually more high priority than 4 drops. This is difficult. I'm going to go with the Summoner. We're going to hope to wheel these Wastes, by the way. Summoner also, I guess, does let us cast our colorless spells. Okay. So there's a Path Warden, a Baloth Pup, an Aeronaut, Warping Whale, which I only think is okay. I don't think it's that great. Path Warden's pretty good. It's probably stronger than Pup and Aeronaut, even though it is a 5-drop. And no real white cards that matter. Protector's not that important. Path Warden's pretty awesome. Pretty powerful card, I think. Baloth Pup's pretty good too, but it's certainly good with support. And I probably like... Do I like Aeronaut more than Pup? I don't know. That's actually tough. I'm going to go with the Path Warden here, even though it's a 5-drop. I've had some pretty good experiences with and against it. Well, bad experiences against it. Good experiences with it. Okay, so we could take Loam Larva, which can find us wastes. We can take Unknown Shores, which splashes colors as well as fixes for colorless. We can take Shoulder to Shoulder, Netcaster Spider. I'm okay with taking Unknown Shores here. We're going to want it. It's for the most part better than Wastes. The only exception being if you end up with like Loam Larva or Evolving Wilds or Pilgrim's Eye, in which case Wastes is better. But Raptor would be okay too. I think we're just not going to be... Usually I have the problem, or I don't have a problem of being short on playables. So I'm more interested in taking the Unknown Shores and just getting some colorless fixing going as early as possible, especially one that's useful like Unknown Shores for splashing third colors. Okay, Pathfinder is another colorless matters card. Vines of the Recluse is a good combat trick. Timber Gorge, some more fixing for like a red splash. Another chance at Raptor. I think Path Warden's better than Raptor for the most part. Pathfinder's okay. Haven't played with it. Played against it, and it's okay. Could just take the combat trick. We don't have any removal. Or could take the fixing and hope to find combat tricks along the way, which doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. I'm going to take the fixing. I just don't think that I'm likely to end up short on playables, and getting fixing is typically good. All right, Walker of the Wastes, Cultivator Drone, and Translator both wield. That might be a sign that Black, well, more of a sign that Black's open. I think Translator's actually a pretty strong card, seeing as it ramps and fixes for colorless. And it's just a 3/5 body, which is good. Otherwise, I could take the Vines, or I can get my first Waste, which is also okay. Kind of want this Translator, though. This card is good, and that kind of is a telling sign, I think, for Black if it wheels like that. Okay, can take the Loam Larva now. There's also a Chitinous Cloak, both of which are okay. I think we're going to take the Loam Larva. I don't think this card's insane, but if we end up picking up a Waste, I'm going to be pretty happy I have it. Having one Waste with a Loam Larva is pretty nice. Also, just good for splashing if you end up multiple colors. I think Cloak's okay too, though, like I said. But we're going to take the Loam Larva here. Okay, another Translator. I think I'm still okay with this card. I think it's pretty good. I guess it's not horribly exciting in multiples, but it's a good card. I'm not sure how telling it is of Black being open yet, but could be. Could be. All right, there is the wheeled Waste we were looking for. So now Loam Larva can find it, which is nice. Good for us. Got a couple colorless mana now for our Endbringer and Matter Reshaper. Not sure on what our second color is yet. I mean, Relief Captain is certainly stronger than Translators, but we saw the Relief Captain pick 3, and we saw these Translators pick like, what, 8 or 9 or something? Guess I'll take the Reaver Drone, though this doesn't quite look like a Reaver Drone deck. All right, we'll take the Warping Whale. I mean, probably don't want to main deck it, but we certainly can cast it in this deck. So I think it's a good, it's probably a good sideboard card. All right, nobody cares about Loam Larvas. They're not great, I'll admit. But once again, the fact that they can find wastes for us is actually valuable. And this deck is, at this point, well geared to be 3-color. We have the Unknown Shores. We have Loam Larvas. We have Timber Gorge. So maybe that means we can cast Converge, but we'll see. All right, Sifter of Skulls. I do like that card. In green, we have not much. We have a Hedron Crawler. Probably just want the Sifter. It's a powerful card. Oh, there's Oblivion Strike too, though. I think because we don't have any removal, I probably want the Oblivion Strike. I like Sifter of Skulls. I do think it's a powerful card, but I think Oblivion Strike's probably better. especially based on the fact that, once again, our deck does not have any removal. So we're going to take Oblivion Strike here. Which seems fine to me. Yeah. Cyclone Sire in blue. All right. Visions of Brutality is a good card. I don't think it's what this deck wants. Nothing good in green. Probably just Vampire Envoy. This card has always been good for me. It's a really good black card. I like Visions of Brutality. This does not strike me as a Visions of Brutality deck. It's much more of a beatdown card. Another shot at another Unknown Shores, but probably don't need that. Yeah, we're going to take Envoy. I just like the card. Think it's good. This doesn't really strike me as a Vampire Envoy deck in general, but it's really just that good in black, where you're always happy to have it. It blocks for you, buys you time. We look like we might just be set up to be more of a mid-range deck. We could still be a black-green tokens deck as well. All right. Zendikar Resurgent. Well, we have a ton of creatures, which is an appealing Zendikar Resurgent deck, definitely. Otherwise, there's Slaughter Drone, Stalking Drone. I think we're just going to take the Resurgent here. I think at this point, Double Loam Larva, Scion Summoner, Translators, we're well geared to play Resurgent. We have just a ridiculous amount of creatures, although at this point we're probably not in white, and we're probably not playing Reaver Drone too. But otherwise I'm taking like a Stalking Drone, which is fine. And Slaughter Drone, which I probably like more than Stalking Drone. I'd rather have the Death Touch. But we're going to take Resurgent. I think this card can be very powerful. There's a Walker of the Waste, but I might want the... Actually, I guess we take the Soothsayer. It's just a good card. We don't have a ton of allies, but 5 mana 4/4, and we can hope to pick up allies later. I think that's going to be... I guess we have the Path Warden too. Let's just cut the Relief Captain. I think that's just not going to happen. And Soothsayer is just really powerful if you can get it online. Quite a few 5-drops already, but not sure if that's a problem yet. All right, Cliffhaven Vampire, probably worth splashing. Another shot at Slaughter Drone and Tar Snare. Yeah, we could splash for Cliffhaven. Could dump the green, I guess, too, which is a possibility. I mean, Vampire is going to have awesome synergy with Soothsayer, but we've got some good green cards. We can splash the Cliffhaven Vampire. We have Unknown Shores and we have Loam Larvas. We don't have a ton of ways to gain life yet. In fact, just Envoy. Envoy is good, though. Might just want the Tar Snare. Current removal is 1 Oblivion Strike, and probably not even a Warping Whale. I'm going to take the Tar Snare just based on the fact that we're going to play it and its removal. Another Translator. All right. Searing Light, but probably not dipping into white. Another 5-drop is not super sexy. Another shot at Timber Gorge, which isn't currently useful, but could be. I just don't think we're going to need a 3rd Translator. I don't really want the Reaver Drone. Don't really want Lead by Example. It's okay. I'm going to take the Timber Gorge. Still don't have a need for splashing red, but we could get one. All right, Bailout Null is one of the best reasons to be in this deck, in black-green. One of the most powerful cards from the set, I would say. So, really rewarding pick for being in black-green at the moment. Especially with Zendikar Resurgent, too. That's just absurd synergy. Pathfinder, Void Grafter, which could be worth a splash. Pulse of Marasa, which could also be good. I don't think it's great, but it's okay. Bringing back a creature. It's better than Corpse Churn, I think. Late War Cleric, but I don't want to splash for it. I don't really want to splash for Void Grafter either. I think we're going to take the Pulse. There's a chance I could use it. Alright, Chain Mage is going to work really well with the Soothsayer and with... Did we have another cohort? Maybe we didn't. But it's fine. We have picking up some allies. Otherwise, I could take Meandering River, but we're not in either of those colors, so let's just take the Chain Mage. Which is good for us. Corpse Churn. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing we need. We'll cut the black card, I guess. I don't think Searing Light's that busted against us anyway. We're more of a top-end deck. Let's just cut the Reaver Drone now, and I think we're just going to cut the... well, I guess I can keep Warping Whale for now. I don't really like it that much, but I haven't played with or against it very much either. I mean, it's playable. It's really not that good, though. I think it's a fine sideboard card. Certainly seems... I mean, it's good against Vampire Envoys. It's good against Benthic Infiltrator. It's good against, like... Fortified Rampart, I guess. Alright, Slaughter Drone wheeling is nice. I'm going to take it over the third Loam Larva. Don't really want Ruin in their wake, rather, even though it could potentially be ramp in this deck. Rather just have Slaughter Drone, which seems useful for us at the moment. Don't really care about either of these. I guess we'll take the Mighty Leap. Could be a combat trick we don't want to play against. So what's our removal looking like? I guess Tar Snare, Oblivion Strike, and a Warping Whale. So we're removal light at the moment, very creature heavy, which is kind of where you want to be with Zendikar Resurgent, which I still think looks pretty good in this deck. Like I said, if you play a Baloth Null, if you have Resurgent out, play a Baloth Null for 3 lands, return 2 creatures, draw a card. You're in a good place because you're going to be drawing more cards. All right, I guess Searing Light's still not very good against us. I guess we'll maybe rather hate a Negate, which can stop our Resurgent. All right. So we're going to have enough cards to make a deck, which means possibly could get rewarded for these Timber Gorges, but that's only if we open a Balmy red card that I for sure want to play. All right. So on to the Battle for Zendikar pack. Like I said, we're in a pretty good spot. We have cheap stuff going. I actually think Loam Larvas are probably better than I gave them credit for. I actually think a 1/3 body is pretty nice in this format, especially for a deck like ours that has like a pretty substantial late game plan. Baloth Null's Inbringer. Path Warden's a good finisher. Chain Mage we can sit behind with the Soothsayer. Draw cards or make our opponent lose life, both of which are good. Soothsayer and Envoy love each other. Colostria Nightwatch, if we manage to find that out of pack 3, really loves Envoy too. Maybe that, I mean, Envoy really is the real deal. It's a black card that's 3 mana for a 1/4 flyer, which is already good. It's got an additional ability on top of that, and it's an ally. So it just has all sorts of synergies with Cohort for obvious reasons, but also has synergy with Battle for Zendikar cards like the Bloodbond Vampire and the Colostria Nightwatch. So it's just a real MVP card in the format. Okay, Conduit of Ruin can make our high-end creatures cheaper. There's a Vile Aggregate, which we could splash for. Probably not worth that. And there's Grove Tinder Druid, which you could splash for. It's an ally. It's an Eyeless Watcher, which tends to be sort of an all-star when it comes to... It fits our curve well, but it's also an all-star in black-green, because then Swarm Surge, which still looks like a card we could play in here with the Loam Larvas and Scion Summoner. Yeah. And it works well with Zendikar Resurgent, seeing as it's a creature card. It also ramps towards Zendikar Resurgent. So it does kind of double duty there. We could wheel the Swarm Surge. I think we're going to take the Eyeless Watcher and try and make like a little tokeny thing sort of happen. I think Conduit of Ruin is fine. We don't have anything we can find with it right now, but it does make our other stuff cheaper, which is relevant. I still think I'd rather have an Eyeless Watcher, though. Pretty useful card. All right, I mean, if you're gonna splash for a card, Radiant Flame seems like a pretty good one. Especially in a deck like this, that's definitely going to be 3-color most of the time. Could take the Evolving Wilds, which also splashes for or finds wastes, which is useful. I think Radiant Flames is a pretty powerful card. In this deck, it almost assuredly is going to be 3 mana, 3 damage all creatures, which in this format is going to be an all-star. I think we're taking that here. Definitely getting rewarded for the Timber Gorge and Unknown Shores. Yeah, I'm gonna take it. We're gonna hope to wheel Evolving Wilds. I don't think that's gonna happen. We can probably wheel Blister Pod though, which I guess isn't insane in this deck. Or Snapping Gnarlid or Plated Crusher. Colostria Healer would also be good, seeing as it's a ally for Cohort. But we're gonna take Radiant Flames pretty happily here. So, sort of a Jund value deck at the moment. Kiora? I can splash for Kiora. And then we're going real deep on color. Stasis Snare in here. I don't think Kiora's insane, but it's kind of a cool card to splash. There's Channeler in here. I mean, I would have to run one island. I don't have to run... I don't mind that, though. I mean, Cure is a fun card to play. It's not great. Otherwise, I take Channeler. God, we're going deep on color. I think we're probably still okay going deep on color, though, to be honest. It also ramps. It does ramp. Not to be overlooked. And if you can emblem with it, you're looking good. I don't think Cure is insane, but I'm going to take it here just because Swiss Draft, it's a pretty fun card to play. I think it's probably worth less than a ticket, which is like pretty remarkable for a Planeswalker. Maybe we'll get lucky and it's worth a ticket. I don't know yet. Looks like my computer is going slowly. All right, it's worth close to 2 tickets. All right, so that's good enough reason. All right, Beastcaller Savant. We have enough creatures where probably just want to take that over the healer, I think. Yeah, I mean, it also ramps. Turns on Cohort. It's definitely a card we want in here. And like I said, Colostria Healer would be good too, actually. But Savant seems like right up this deck's alley with the Cohort we do have, as well as the top end we have. Be nice if this could add colorless for like Endbringer and Matter Reshaper, but that's okay. I'm trying to think if we're a 17 land deck. I doubt it because we're dipping so deep into colors. Omnath? Oh my god, I have to splash that, right? That's even more rewards for Timber Gorge, but now we're going to have to play... Alright, we're going deep. We are going so deep, folks. But I really want to play Omnath in here. That's a hard card to splash, I admit. And Catacomb Sifter is so strong. Sifter is such a fantastic card. How can I not play Omnath? I'm so tempted. It's honestly hard not to. In an 18 land deck that has like with double Loam Larva and Beastcaller Savant, I'm taking Omnath. I can't help myself. We're going so deep right now. I love it. Like I would never feel comfortable going this deep in a 8-4, but in Swiss, yeah. All the power in the world to this deck. All right, Malice, Rune Processor, but I think we have no exile except the Warping Whale, which isn't going to happen. Mire's Mouse is really good. Bone Splinters is good. We're also Removal Light, but Mire's Mouse is... The duality of Mire's Mouse is very good. We probably want the Bone Splinters, though. Probably cut the pulse at this point. Like, Bone Splinter is going to be good with Watcher and Loam Larvas and Scion Summoner, probably. Whereas Mire's Mouse is just going to be all around good. Probably want the Bone Splinters. Probably want the Malice. I don't know, man. That's tough. I'm going to take the Bone Splinters. I think just making sure we have enough removal to survive is probably important. If I'm splashing Kiora, do I want to splash Reclaimer? We have no way to exile, so I don't think so. Marasa Ranger. Yeah, I mean, it's an ally. Is it an ally? No. Devastator. Probably don't need it. Grave Birthing could be good. Ramps, draws, surprise block. Probably not playing it, though. Guess we'll take it anyway. I'll consider it. I don't think we're doing it, though. All right. Unnatural Aggression, Scour from Existence, and other Bone Splinters. Okay. I don't really like running multiple Bone Splinters, but Unnatural Aggression in this deck does not seem great. Yeah, I mean, not until we get to the top end. We have some great bodies at the top end, but not otherwise that good with Unnatural Aggression. But like I said, running multiple Bone Splinters, running all these 7-drops isn't good either. I guess we'll take another Bone Splinters. I'm not in love with the idea. But, I mean, it works well with Eyeless Watcher. It works well with Summoner. Got the Swarm Surge back. Problem is we're no longer a Swarm Surge deck, but guess I'll take it. This deck's cool. I don't think Kiora is going to happen. I think we'd rather focus on the Omnath Radiant Flames. Kiora is cute and all, but since we've actually got the means to cast Omnath in here with double Timber Gorge, Unknown Shores, and Beastcaller Savant, I think I'd rather focus, and double Loam Larva. Yeah, like, we're going to be able to make Omnath work in here. All right, Blister Pod, Plated Crushers. Plated Crusher seems more difficult now, seeing as we already have 2 7-drops and triple green could be a problem. Snapping Gnarlid, not exactly what we want in here. Probably want the Fertile Thicket. Finds colors for us. Blister Pod, though, with the Bone Splinters. Yeah, that is a thing. I'm going to take the Blister Pod. I don't love Fertile Thicket because we already have double Loam Larva. Plummet's a good sideboard card. We're going to take that over the Stone Fury Splash. We're already splashing Omnath. I'm not going to splash a Stone Fury. All right, one thing about this deck. It's very, very cool. This deck is cool at the very least. Can it get there? I actually, I have more faith in this deck than I think people watching probably do. I actually have some faith in this deck. Rot Shambler is good with the Bone Splinters plan. I don't think it's... Well, I guess maybe I want the... Actually, Reclaiming Vines is going to be good against Isolation Zones. So I think I'm more on that plan than a Rot Shambler. Rot Shambler typically MVP's status in a black-green deck, but I think this deck is sort of the exception to that. So if I'm running double Bone Splinters, I want the Blister Pod, but the problem with Blister Pod is I don't know what I want to cut for it. I kind of want all of my allies because I got a Vines anyway. I'm definitely splashing Radiant Flames. Don't you doubt that for 1 second. I want the double Loam Larva. It's too important in this deck. We're basically a 4-color deck if you include the Wastes and Unknown Shores. I mean, the Colorless Matters cards in Matter Reshaper and Inbringer, which we're also running. So that's the reason we're not running Kiora. This deck is just cool looking. I don't know how great it is. It's probably not. If you're talking PTQ quality deck, I don't think it's that great. But if you're talking can do fun things, I think it's pretty high up there. So what's my final ally count? We have Beastcaller Savant, Envoy. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. I cannot justifiably cut any of my allies. They're all very important. Because we really want to make sure we can use Soothsayer in a pinch. I actually think Translator is pretty important for this deck too, seeing as it adds colorless mana for Inbringer and Reshaper, as well as ramps for Resurgent and Omnath. I kind of want to squeeze Blister Pod in here too, though, because of the Bone Splinters. But I don't know what to cut. I want Slaughter Drone pretty badly too. I think the Death Touch will prove itself important. I think Scion Summoner is important. Envoy definitely is. Tar Snare is, since we're removal light. Double Bone Splinters I'm typically not happy with. We do have 17 creatures though. But keep in mind, 7 of them are on the top end. All right, we're going to cut a Bone Splinters. I don't love Blister Pod now in this deck if we're only running 1 Bone Splinters, but it chumps early or maybe trades early and ramps. It gives us much needed early game, which this deck just is kind of lacking. Loam Larvas are insane in this deck, by the way, like super important. How many red sources are we going to need to cast Omnath reliably? So we have 3, 4, 5. I guess I can actually get away with 1 mountain. Although, if you search up a mountain with Loam Larva... Well, how color intensive are we? We've got no double black, 1 double green, that's a 7-drop. All right, 2 double green that are 7 drops. This also requires black, and these require colorless. I'm trying to see if I could run 2 mountains, because you also want to cast Radiant Flames, you know, relatively early. I might want 2 mountains. Let me see. And we're going to run the waste because of the Loam Larvas. So we've got 14 lands remaining. We already have 2 green mana. Can't really count on Unshores. I guess you kind of can, but it sets everything behind. Maybe we can. We'll count it as a half. So we've got like 8.5 green. And only 7 black. Kind of want 8 black. Eight and a half green. 6.5. Yeah. I guess we're probably going to have to do this. Getting double red's not going to be easy. The problem with running 1 mountain is if you top deck the Timber Gorge, you still can't play the Omnath. But I can't justifiably run any less than 7.5 black sources. We got to be able to reliably. Although Loam Larvas also count as black. Maybe I can do this. Loam Larvas can count as black in a pinch. We only need 1 black mana. All right. I'm going to run 2 red. I'm going to run 2 mountains. All right. I don't know. Our mana base may be a little bit rocky, but this deck is cool. You have to admit, this deck is cool. I'm actually thinking, do I want to run Grave Birthing over Blister Pod? The reason to do that would be Blister Pod's really only good with Bone Splinters. Grave Birthing is good because it cantrips, puts a dude out that also ramps, and can potentially be a surprise blocker. And it still works about as well with Bone Splinters. I guess Beast Caller Savant's also kind of like a red mana, kind of. I think I'm going to run the Grave Birthing over the Blister Pod. We'll see how that works for me. It did add another black and take out another green, but I think our mana base can stay the same. Yeah, wow. This deck is cool. What am I going to rate it? Well, that's a good question. I don't think I can give this deck... Like, our in-game plan is so phenomenal that I want to give it a high rating, but I can't. This deck is at best, with our mana base and removal light, I think it's a 5.5. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. Like, it's cool. It is very cool. Cannot stress enough how cool this deck is. But we have like little to no card advantage outside of like Baloth. No, I guess Zendikar Surgent. We don't get card advantage until late, but I guess that's kind of where this deck wants it anyway. I'm gonna give this deck a 5.5 out of 10. It's just too difficult to give it any higher than that. Coolness factor, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think this deck is very, very cool. It's got a lot of cool little options and synergies in it. But like effectiveness, I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. So 5.5 out of 10, 9 cool factor, Swiss draft. So at least we'll get to see it with 3 rounds of it. We'll see you round 1.